This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Science and Technology Park at Johns Hopkins, and we're in Baltimore, Maryland. We're on location. I have Dr. Thomas Hyde of the Lieber Institute of Brain Development, a private nonprofit. Well, Dr. Hyde, welcome to SNNLive.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. Let's get right into it. You're a nonprofit private company. What's your focus?
Our focus is on finding new treatments for the amelioration of symptoms for schizophrenia and related psychiatric disorders, as well as drugs that might target prevention of these severe mental illnesses.
So what are you managing? What's your budget? Because obviously this is not a cheap deal.
This is a large organization that was founded on August 1st, 2010, opening its doors here in the East Baltimore Biotech Park, and we have now about 55 full-time employees. Our annual budget is about $15 million a year. We hope to grow it up to close to $30 million a year within 3 to 4 years.
Where does your funding come from?
Our funding comes from a variety of streams. We have a corpus or body of money that was designed to be spent over the course of 10 years from our private donors. Our benefactors are the Lieber and Maltz families, which have a large commitment to mental illness research. We also are raising money by partnerships with private pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies, licensing some of our discoveries and our products. And finally, we are applying for federal grants either through the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health, and the Department of Defense. I might add that we also have some additional fundraising activities going on with philanthropic organizations, both in the greater Baltimore area as well as in Washington and the Mid-Atlantic states, and even with a national reach.
Now, schizophrenia is only one unfortunate dysfunction of the brain, correct? So as you're developing new treatments, new technologies to treat these diseases, where do you go from here?
Well, it's a great problem. Schizophrenia we consider to be a developmental problem of the brain, meaning that the footprints or the tracks for schizophrenia are laid down early in brain development and manifest themselves as the brain matures over the course of the teenage years and early adulthood. In order to understand this disorder, in order to treat it, we have to identify the pathology that underlies this disorder, identify the molecular mechanisms and signatures of the disorder, and then attack these pathways, block these pathways, accentuate these pathways, depending upon what is wrong, in order to help these people regain full functionality. Not merely treat their symptoms, but restore the function of the brain to a normal level. And this is true probably not only for schizophrenia, but a lot of other complex behavioral disorders that involve neural development, including autism and multiple forms of mental retardation.
It's great work. What's your background?
Well, I come to this field somewhat unusually. I have an MD PhD from the University of Pennsylvania. I then did a residency in neurology. Now, neurology differs from psychiatry in that neurology is the study of the disorders of the brain and the neuromuscular system that are related to fundamental defects in the function of those parts of the body. Now, in schizophrenia research and in psychiatry, in a larger context, it's about behavioral disorders, disorders of the brain that affect behavior. There is a gray area between neurology and schizophrenia. I have studied the neural basis of psychiatric diseases now for the greater part of 2.5 decades, and I think I bring a different perspective than the average psychiatrist to the study of these disorders.
How do you choose your staff?
Well, we want to be the global leader for schizophrenia and neurodevelopmental behavioral disorder research in the world. So we look around the world to find the best and the brightest. We are particularly interested in young, creative minds from atypical backgrounds who can bring something special to the field. People who are coming from atypical disciplines that have not always been involved in mental illness research. So we have bioengineers, bioinformatics people, computer scientists, sociologists, anthropologists. You name it, we have people from many different backgrounds. They all share a common trait. That common trait is a desire to help people with these lifelong, crippling disorders and to make a real difference in their quality of lives.
What is the pressure, if any, that is placed on your nonprofit entity to become a commercialization of your technology and development?
To us, commercialization and the pharmaceutical industry are not boogeymen. They are not bad terms. They are, in fact, the ultimate goal that we have of our organization. A research organization can go from A to B, but a pharmaceutical company or a biotechnology company can go from B to C. And that is, we have an expertise in understanding molecular pathology and human genetics, target development, and even some small molecule development. But what biotech and the pharmaceutical industry specializes in is taking these model compounds, these targets, and making them safe for people and available to people, and testing efficacy as well as risk-benefit ratios.
So do you go into patients?
Well, I am a licensed physician in the state of Maryland. I did do private practice as well as clinical research. I still do a little bit of clinical research, but most of my work personally is doing postmortem human brain research.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end this here because I want to get the website out there, and I want you to go tell us a little bit about the website because I'm sure it's very advanced.
Well, we are easily reached by going to the website www.L as in Larry, I as in Irene, B as in boy, D as in David.org, LIBD.org, or you can just Google Lieber Institute, LIEBER. We have a temporary website in place. We have been working very hard on a very advanced permanent website that we hope to have up and running by the end of this summer that has a lot of information not only for scientists but also for the lay public. We hope you'll come visit it and contact us with your inquiries and questions.
Isn't it amazing, as big a company as yours and so many companies, they need a website guy. That's what it comes down to, right?
Well, that's the portal for many people around the world. It's not newspapers, it's not magazines, it's not telephone calls, it's the internet. The internet connects us. It's our global network, and it allows us to harness the energy of millions of brains into a particular endeavor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Thomas Hyde from the Lieber Institute for Brain Development. It's a private nonprofit. So for more information, go to that website. Give it one more time.
www.LIBD.org.
And we are at the Science and Technology Park at Johns Hopkins, on location here in Baltimore, Maryland. Thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure to have you.